players. This is a massively multiplayer, online, dungeon crawling, mobile game. It is free to play. This is a free to play character, kind of showing things off for you. And you can also play this on your PC. I'm showing off the Steam client over here. There's a lot of mechanics to the game, there's a lot that goes into it, so the idea of these videos is it's going to kind of break it down, especially for new players, talk about how game mechanics works and kind of dig into the user interface in bite-sized chunks. So if you're interested in more active gameplay, leave other videos for that. This one's going to kind of really get into the nitty-gritty and talk about stat distribution and things of that nature. So bottom left hand, if you click on your character, you're going to pull up your character sheet. We're going to start right off the bat talking about the most important aspect of online gaming, and that is actually looking really good. So your cosmetic, and new players will often not notice these little purple dots on the side. These are your cosmetic buttons. So C is for cosmetic, and let's say you have an item like I'm wearing this bow, I'm a damaged character, so I'm wearing the bow. If I don't like that bow, I can click on cosmetic, and you can see I've already done that on some of these other items, and it shows you here. You can see a little purple dot, shows you there's cosmetic change. You mouse over it, you can also see it down there listed. But if I want to change this bow, look through here, see my options, click that, and boom, look at that. So already looking better. Now back to the character sheet. It does not change your performance or your functionality in any way, it's just a visual thing. But specific to main hand is the main hand can only have a cosmetic of the same type. So if you're wearing a sword, it's got to be a sword. If you're wearing a bow, it's got to be a bow. And your skills or your attacks are going to be based off your main hand weapon. So if I have a bow, that's good for a damaging focus build. I'll have these cool damaging skills that'll be very useful to me. Your offhand is different, that it doesn't have a functionality. Having a shield in your offhand is not going to give you any defense. Having a weapon in your offhand is not going to give you any offense. And on the same note, you can use whatever cosmetic you want, so it doesn't really matter. You got your headpiece, you got your chest. Over here, necklace and a ring do not have a cosmetic effect. And then down here you have two of the most important items on your character, and that is going to be your accessory and your pet. So there is no C button for these guys, but if you click them, you can change the cosmetic here, and here, and here. You can see that I'm actually not showing my mount. You can turn your own mount off in the options if you so choose, and that's what I'm going with today. If not, I'll be running around riding on a chocobo. So, going back to the accessory, if you're a damaging character, the accessory is going to be really important for increasing your damage, but if you're a defensive character or a tank, the accessory is even more important, because a tank without good bonuses is not really a tank at all, and you're going to be very limited. So advice to newer players or more casual players is to be more of a damage roll, focus on that. You're going to have an easier time progressing than otherwise. And then your pet, very similarly, basically there's two different kinds of pets. You got pets that deal damage and pets that give defense to you and your team. And they have a % chance to proc. Proc stands for program random occurrence. That's basically your chance for the pet's ability to trigger. This pet is a low tier pet, so it's got only a 31% chance. If I upgraded that, I could increase the chance, but the only way to increase the amount that the pet does, whether it's damage or defense, is through your stats. So let's talk about that now. The level of your character doesn't really matter, doesn't really apply to anything other than your end chance. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the total power of your character is determined by the total stats of your character. So if I add these three numbers, it'll give me my total stats. If I want to see that added here, I can go right here, total stats 13, 12, and that's the main indicator of how powerful this character is. And the distribution of those stats is going to tell me what role this character plays. So I've got a damaging weapon, I've got a lot in power, pretty obvious. This is a character that's designed to deal damage, and if you're a newer player, again, damage is going to be the easier way to go if you want to progress through the game like that. The power stat is going to determine how much damage or healing you do per skill. The agility stat is going to determine how frequent your turn rate is, how fast do you attack. The way the math works out is if you add your power to your agility, that is going to give you equivalent damage to someone with a different ratio, but if they have the same total. So to make that a little more simple, if I had 7 power and 3 agility, add that together, that's 10. I'll do the same amount of damage over time as someone that has 3 power and 7 agility. They'll attack faster and do less damage. I'll attack slower or less frequency, and I'll do more damage. But the pet, again, is based off of the power. So one of the reasons why that's really important is if I'm a defensive character, if I do not attack frequently but I get attacked frequently, you could be fighting against 4 different monsters at the same time. So each turn, if you're getting hit 4 times, I can have a pet that goes off on when I'm hit, and my speed is irrelevant. My speed doesn't matter at all as far as the pet's concerned. So I can pump as much as I can into power, and I'll have more of an effect going off. And this is one of the most important aspects when you're progressing through the game. That pet is what's going to really carry you through. So, other things to talk about is here you have the mount, and the mount is something that you're going to get early on, fairly early on, and it's going to give you more stats, of course, but it's also going to give you some bonuses. You see a bonus to movement speed. That is going to be how fast you move around. It's also how fast the animation plays, but it's not more damage. And then it'll have a special bonus on there, so I've got damage reduction, so this is not a great mount for me. But it'll also have a mount skill. So at the bottom you see Chico. It's got this mount skill. You can also see your skill displayed here. And so I can use this skill once per adventure, so per dungeon, not per fight, but per dungeon, I can use this skill only once. And these skills typically have a big impact. If you're progressing and you're kind of stuck at endgame, using your mount skills are going to give you that little boost that's going to help kill the boss or whatever. And it's going to help you be victorious. And if you have a lot of power, since you can only use the skill once, your skill will be more effective. If you have less power and more speed, you'll deal less damage, but you'll attack more frequent. But since you can only use the skill once, it does make this a lot less impactful. So that's another bonus for power as well. So for new players, I would say pump everything into power. If you change your mind later on, you can always change the stats of your gear with reforging and crafting. You go through crafting, over here, hit reforge. All this is into power. If I want to change that, this is actually very, very cheap, and I can change it all to stamina, I can change it all to speed. That's very cheap. You can switch back and forth with basically no problem, and I don't have to worry about trying to reset my character or anything like that. So resetting your character would be from this button, and here I can change the way I look. Don't do that. I can change the way my stat points are distributed, but if you put it all in power, then you are good to go. So that wraps up this video. We're going to get more into different character bonuses and defense and offense and all that in the future, but hopefully this makes some sense, and we'll get another video out to you soon. So part 2 is coming up. All right.